Hello there folks, welcome back to my YouTube channel, a place where I discuss different topics about spirituality, introspection and well, different other topics. However, today I'm gonna make a video that may go longer or shorter. I don't have any plans decided for it, just like I usually have. Today, the 2nd of September 2020, is the day when my grandmother has passed away, and I would want to make a video about this because I want to share some importance of life with people. And for a while my grandmother has been suffering of several things, and in a way, I don't want you to misunderstand me, and if you do, feel free to. I'm not gonna mind. The point is, she has suffered from several diseases, and hepatitis, or whatever it's called in English. And in a way, I am glad she passed away, because her passing away was actually a liberation, since she wouldn't suffer as much as possible. Okay, and the point about this is, I actually had an awesome day today, in the sense that I solved literally anything that would be required paper wise, and in terms of preparations. I just need to wait until tomorrow, when the burial actually finalizes, and the point is, I may have other journeys to attend to, but come again, the point about this is, I've just everywhere I went, I just found the right people at the right time. No queues, no nothing. It was so magical. And this night, I don't know exactly when my grandmother passed away. uh, you see, it has been very strange. Okay, um, let me actually turn down the sound a bit. This night, when I went to bed at around, well, yesterday night actually, when I went to bed at around 11 or half past 11, I actually had my door closed at the living room, and my grandmother was in the other side of the room. If I closed that door or not, she couldn't move from the bed, and she couldn't speak too much. So if she were to call me, she wouldn't be able to call me, and most likely I wouldn't hear her. It's two rooms away from her, and also um, I would keep the windows open, and the rare traffic that occurs in front of my place where I live at night is much more audible, and it would prevent me from literally hearing anything from my grandmother. The point about this is, people say that when someone is to depart, you know, that night specifically, I didn't have any urge to go to the bathroom. No pee, no poo, no, not even washing my teeth. Okay, nothing. And people say, when such events happen, that someone departs, it is said that you're not gonna go too close to them, because probably it's not a good time to, we found out that she passed away in the morning at 8 o'clock, when one of the women that would take care of my grandmother for 4 hours a day, she came today at home, and that's exactly the moment when I rose from the bed, and as I was opening the door to go to the kitchen, she was just entering the room. And all of this is like, it was as if it was a written book. It couldn't have, like, for whatever reason, it couldn't have happened otherwise. This is how I felt. Okay, and I went to the kitchen. Now, for a while now, my grandmother has been pissing me off literally with a lot of things. For years, she has been accusing me of stealing things and doing things that I didn't even most likely think of. And, I've actually accumulated a lot of hatred, which kind of had me become a bit repugnant, a bit distant to her. So now that I finally had, for almost a whole month, I had two women to come and take care of her, because she could barely move to the toilet. Now, on the other hand, I still have my doubts, because several nights ago, I think 1 week or something ago when I helped her raise from her bed. She actually rose, on her own feet, and she was actually staying on her feet, and I was holding her hands, and she actually looked away from me. And then I felt that she actually felt a bit ashamed. She just wanted my attention mostly because she didn't have any attention. And I felt right then that she was kind of pretending. And she was doing that much pretense just for a bit of attention. Now, especially in the last period of her life, she did several things that kind of pushed people away, and as her Alzheimer also increased, um, probably a lot of misaccomplishments from her life and a lot of things created a certain amount of hatred. Actually, not created, more like amplified that. And to a certain extent, I can say that she was kind of ditching those out. Okay, it was a way for me and probably some of the neighbors that she unleashed a bit of her, trickery and whatever her mind would manifest. It was a way for all of us to learn certain things. And all I can say is I cannot feel good nor bad about her passing away. I didn't even cry that much. I did cry a bit. I felt a bit of guilt, a bit of shame for, somewhat letting her alone in those nights, but she wouldn't even speak much, and if I would go to her, she would start talking some gibberish nonsense that I was really pissed about hearing, and at times she would probably even swear someone or something like that, and like literally I'm kind of sick of my family and all these you know very simple mundane aspects and ways of thinking that I as a person simply no longer want in my life, because I know I'm somewhat of an ascended person. I may not be, a fully enlightened being, but I know that I'm well on such a way. And we all are, but I know I came here for more than just listening to mundane things, okay? So this is not necessarily me, this is not me looking for, excuses, okay, on such ideas, okay? I no longer feel guilty for whatever happened, and probably unlike my neighbors, I actually expected, her perishing because she had two severe diseases. Her belly actually, became more and more full of liquids, and she was claiming some pains, although, I also called a psychiatrist to check on her, and, she refused her pension the previous week, and I had to actually do a lot of going around to get a lot of papers to allow me to get her pension. And just as I was thinking about starting to do those, like starting from today, and the next days we found her having passed away. And um, I watched some, signs on the internet, some, I had some readings done and certain things, and they actually told me relax this week, okay? I've been working like mad on my video game, I've been done several things, I've been getting more in touch with myself, my dreams have become more, wild, even if I kind of still disregard them and don't note them down in the dream journal that I kind of ditched so long ago. And this day kind of reminded me of the futility of life, okay? And after the people came and picked my grandmother up, we found her having fallen from the bed. Whatever she was trying, I don't know what she may have tried. Probably she wanted to go to the toilet. I can still think of the probability of her wanting to come to me and tell me that she wants to go away. I spoke to my father, and he's also somewhat, sensitive to, spiritual aspects, but somewhat less sensitive than me. But he's still sensitive, and I told him, hey, you know what? I actually woke up today at around 4 in the morning. I remember watching the watch, looking at the watch, but I don't remember the exact hour, right? And I was like so, I don't know, stoked. So I don't know, it wasn't like a physical weakness or something, but I simply didn't have, like, I didn't have the pleasure or any urge or anything, so I didn't just leave bed, and I fell asleep and I woke up at 6, and up till 8 again I didn't wake up from the bed. Okay, people say that these things can actually happen when someone has to go away. There are certain times when you simply won't be allowed, and you simply cannot even think about something like doing anything that would have you cross paths with this person who has left. Okay, so it kind of left me a bit vulnerable and wondering what if the law would actually come, and what if people would actually ask me if I mistreated her. And I had such little worries, but come again, everything today went on so perfectly. Like, I couldn't imagine a much better and easier way of things having happened. I had to do many phone calls. I had to call a close friend at work who knows a lot of people, and I did the phone calls, I did this, I did that. um, Even the medic, I had to wait for her, the family medic or whatever it's called in other countries. In my country you have something that's called a family medic, right? And he's the one who actually deals with the papers and with people who are basically their clients, and everything that happens you go to them. And she would have an afternoon shift, so I actually would have, I called around 9, half past 9, and I was returned the answer that, hey, you have to wait till around 2 or 3 p.m. because you're not allowed inside units in my country because of the cunt virus. And I actually got a call by 11, and or half past 11, and the medic said she actually came much earlier, and in the meantime she actually got the answer from the authorities saying, hey, you know what, everything is okay, green light. So I actually could go on and go to the funeral company, right, and speak with them, and go even beyond. And I even got to lay her where there's a place at the cemetery, at the graveyard, I don't know what it's called. I don't know if there's such a practice in other countries, but in my country there is this place at the graveyard that's it's a room, a special room where you can lay the dead for 2 or 3 days. And I also got to speak with the priest, and he said that 2 days from now the burial process will go, and guess what, the burial will take place at specifically 11. And well, that's somewhat of another point, right? As a spiritual person, 11, this hour of 11 is something. And well, it's gonna sound somewhat funny, but it's gonna be the fourth of the ninth month, right? And it's gonna be 11 for 11, 411. It's a number I've quite been seeing a few whiles up till now, at the clock. And 911 is a number that I see quite often on the clock, right? It's all showing me that this is nothing else than awakening. Okay, this is nothing else than awakening. In the morning, I actually, after the people from the funerals came and took my grandmother away, and everyone left, I remained alone in the house. I actually had this feel that I had to do some rituals. I never performed these rituals, but I just had the feels. They weren't even an urge, right? But I did cry, I did speak a bit with my grandmother, and I made this, as a Reiki initiate and practitioner, I was hinted at doing this ritual. Okay, so I took a huge glass, okay, which I put on the bed where my grandmother died, right? Although she was found dead by the bed because she fell off of it, she spent a long while in there, and she would fabulate, she would speak a lot with imaginary people. She would, even she told the psychiatrist that she had 3 grandsons and she only has me. And well, at least in here, I don't know about other of her relatives, but she even told the psychiatrist that I'm married. One day she even said that she's waiting for her boys to come home, from the wedding that I had. And now that I think of it, it's all beautiful. It's like I simply can't feel anything else than beauty. All my readings and the such tell me that, I'm going back to the roots, okay, to the root chakra healing. And I've actually been capable today of, holding my back straight for the first time actually. And I've performed these rituals, okay. I put this glass on the bed because I put a lot of candles, and just for the sake of it, these candles are metallic candles, right? They have an inner, and the flame burns within, but I said just in case, the cloth of the bed wouldn't take fire. And I took her rings and the jewelry. Usually I believe in the in the older ways, right, of burial, the ones even beyond Christianity, in which you never keep anything that was intimate to the person who deceased. The moment you burn their clothes, or you simply give them away, preferably burn them, you show the dead person, the spirit that departed, that their journey is well away. Everything that you keep from that person is a sign of attachment, and it's gonna be like a little hindrance. It's not probably gonna make their journey well. I'm not gonna dive into this, okay? I know I'm attracted to necromancy, but messing with the spirits of the departed can actually even cost your life, okay? Do never ever attend this. There are people who know the occult arts, and they may be, better instructed on doing this. So doing spiritism and the such, never do it. If you are visited by beings who resemble the departed, do not engage with those, okay? Do not engage with such beings, because those beings are not that person, okay? In some cases there might be, but I'd rather not engage, okay? They might be guides, spirits, but usually, and somewhat what I feel, when someone departs, they no longer are a player of this world. This world is like a video game, and I have created several videos on that. Go to my channel if you want to visit them. They are probably a few weeks old at most, starting from the day of this video. And you see, in order to experience any dimension of life, you need a body that is compatible with those dimensions. Just as I've said in those videos, when you play a video game, it's like exploring that dimension of life, because that is technically a dimension of life. If you do not have a body, okay, you cannot experience that. Just like in here, you have this body that most likely you disregard, but it is the only vessel that allows you to experience this universe. If you lose this body, you also lose your discerning mind, your logics, and your capacity to think. Once you leave this body, you no longer have any link with this world. You can no longer understand or perceive anything, and you instantly lose memory of anyone you knew, because people who you give importance to, your friends, teachers, your parents, they are technically nothing in this world, okay? They are people who facilitate your existence, and everything in this world is nothing else than a vehicle. I might be speaking much deeper than most people would accept, but I always go much deeper, so take whatever I say with a grain of salt. Everything in here is nothing else than a vehicle that allows you to experience things, or hastens your capacity to feel certain things. Just like money, for example, is an enhancer. You can acquire something probably even without money, but money may make it faster, okay? Your friends are a vehicle for you to feel emotions, for you to feel a certain event in your life. So knowing all these, I simply cannot fear, or I simply cannot feel bad about death, or when people leave. And considering how mad society has become and will become more and more towards the end of this year, and especially in the next years, I simply cannot feel bad about someone passing away. And I even told my grandmother, if she will go to a certain test, in which she has to see all the things she has done in life. And you have to understand that there will be a case, or, well, so many sources say, I don't know if this is the case, but, and, this is kind of futile, but I'm just gonna speak it regardless. There is these people that there are these people that say after you perish you will have to go through some trials, and these trials will show you what you have done and achieved in life, and what things you have done good or bad, without any judgment, because people fear this judgment of the so-called God of love. And as this will happen, you will have to accept literally all the mistakes that you have done, and you have to simply forgive yourself. But people who are very young, people who don't know much about this, they don't have enough depth and have to experience more, they will have difficulty accepting certain things. They will still feel attached to certain ideas of righteousness and feeling wronged and such. So in order to understand that, they might actually have to reincarnate again. This is something that I simply cannot agree to it, because you see, once you leave your body, your discernment mind disappears. So your ability to understand what some spirit guides would tell you that you have done right or wrong most likely cannot exist, because you no longer have a discerning mind. But things may be beyond that. I still do not have the answers to this. It is said that my awakening will lead me to the answers, that I need. Until then, I will not speak about this. So the ritual was, I lit a lot of candles up. I came up with this idea, and after a while I even spoke with my Reiki master, and she told me that it was actually very awesome. Okay, so I lit up one candle in the bed where she stood over that window, right, that piece of glass. Okay, I lit up 7 candles, one for each chakra. Then at the top one, the Sahasrara candle, okay, I lit up 2 candles, one on the left and one on the right. The right one was for her father, the left one for her mother. And then above these and Sahasrara, I lit up 2 other candles, one on the right for my grandfather, who passed away 10 years ago, and one for my grandmother on the left. After I lit these, I brought my laptop in there, disabled its hibernation mode and any other way or means that would disable or disallow it from constantly playing a certain song on YouTube. And I put it to play a 5 to 8 hertz song that's about cleansing the house, okay, cleansing negative energy in the house, because I know my grandmother has been very negativistic. She had a lot of mentalities of lack that she almost even imposed upon us, and we also accept that for a long time. And all this means demons and all sorts of parasitic forms. After I lit these candles, I had to do those journeys that I had, those move here, move there, which I solved so rapidly. When I came home, I was met with such grace. I was alone in the home, right, and I went back to see. My laptop was still running, and it is running still now. I will leave it to run for a long time. And it was interesting to see that when I came home, the candles for her mother and for her were both, no longer lit, okay? They were off. And the candles for the chakras 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 were also off. The only candles that were on, okay, were the chakras Muladhara, right, the first one, and Sahasrara, the 7th one. Exactly the ones, the poles, right? Her grounding, which I doubt she was too grounded in her body, because she was ever so fearful of literally everything. And, she was doubtful, and she had all these low vibrational aspects, okay? But she did carry a sense of wisdom within her. More like spiritual wisdom, but, all the hatred and the negative karma she has acquired, right? Most likely from her parents, right? And all the news she has been watching relentlessly for so many years dug a lot of negativity within her that I really pray that she gets to, cleanse quite fast, because I wouldn't wish for her to come back in this world unless it's like really naturally. I wouldn't want her to be born in this country again, because I know the times will be much harder, but who knows, maybe suddenly things might become brighter. Who knows? I won't oppose her getting born again in this world. And who knows? For a while, considering the hatred I built towards her because of all that she has been doing to me, I just started fearing a bit that she might get born actually as my child. And I said, oh my god, I'm so gonna abuse her if that happens and I find out. But I said, well, who am I to do that? If someone abuses you, you have to just go beyond that, because you're just gonna abusing them back. It's gonna continue a ever going on, you know, death spiral cycle that has been going on in this world for like millennia. Okay, that's why we have so much negativity in the world. So I feel like I made a lot of peace. I took some photos of those, and I wanted to send those to my Reiki master to also ask her why the writer candles remain lit. Right? I didn't remember exactly if they were the female or the male part, and it was like magical, like her Sahasrara, right? The communication with divinity remained lit, and her groundness, okay, remained lit. There were still things to be adjusted, right? And she suffered a long time from this illusions that a lot of people build, that out of this fear of judgment by the Lord, and or whatever you want to call him, okay, and judging, judgment, and fear of death, right? So many people end up building their own god, right? That they are pure in the eyes of that god, and that god is never gonna mistreat them and is never gonna judge them, but is definitely gonna judge and be very vengeful towards people who in their mind these people believe are being done wronged by. Okay, so many people end up in such illusions. Now, probably why her Sahasrara was the last candle that was lit for so long was because she had a lot of possessions. She had a lot of attachments to the material world. She had a lot of them, and probably that's why the candle lit so long. And I'm gonna light some candles on for this evening as well as the last cycle. And as I was uploading those pictures from my phone to the laptop, her Muladhara actually faded. Okay, as like 5 minutes after that, her Muladhara candle simply faded. And when I spoke with my father, like, he came up with a possible idea. Probably that's what showed that she ascended towards the greater dimensions. Her job with this universe is finally done. There is one reason why you should give birth to children. This reason is that you have to nurture them and take care of them with such grace that after you perish, you have someone that does a certain ritual or speaks well about you, so that your journeys after are much easier. Okay, I'm still not knowledgeable about what happens afterwards, and I'm seeing 10 which is everything in my life is getting in perfect alignment, and I'm thanking the universe. I've been thanking the universe today so many times, and I'm thanking it again. Like, I feel so humbled today. Everything happened in such grace that I simply cannot describe it. And the last 3 candles that remained lit were the candles for her father and for my grandfather. There were, as my Reiki master told me, she told me that there were still unfinished businesses. And as I was talking to her, she sent me back messages on Messenger, and the other 2 candles simply faded as well. And I told a bit later, I had some things to do in the house, and when I came back, those 2 candles were also off. Most likely, those attachments faded as well, or most of those were purged, right? It is said that at the end of your life, if you have a pleasant death, namely a natural death, it is said that the universe will purge most of the karma that you have for you in the last seconds of your life. That is why you have that film in which you see so many things in your life, your whole history of your life. When you see that, before you perish, you pass away, it is said that that's when, that is when you have most of your karma, if not all of your karma, faded away. Okay, you have that removed from you before you die. It is one last, it is one last gift that the universe gives to you. You know, before you get to finally leave the body and all the limitations that it imposed upon you. You see, birth is much more painful than perishing, because perishing is nothing else than freedom. Many people won't understand this because they fear that, but I know in my wisdom that it is right. Again, agree to take everything with a grain of salt. And I told my Reiki master, now the only candle that is still lit is the Sahasrara one. And a bit later she replied me that that's exactly the communion with divinity. It's it's like perfect. Things couldn't have happened other way. And even if these candles usually once lit they burn for like 2 or 3 hours, I think that candle stood lit for, I think, at most 5 hours, 4 to 5 hours, and it was magical. Like at least to me, it felt magical. A while afterwards, after speaking to my master, and I approached her bed before I had to leave again for some other things to attend. I kneeled by her bed to, do something else, okay, to do a little prayer. When I knelt by her bed, without doing too much sudden movement, okay, to not create any current or something like that, the candle flickered for a few seconds. That was another possible magical sign. I don't know exactly what happened. Probably she was still there, or she sent me a sign that everything is alright, or she thanked me for everything I have been doing. The laptop is still there, singing positive music. I opened all the doors to all the cupboards and everything, I left the windows open so that all the attachments can go away, and the purity of that sound, put on repeat from YouTube, would simply sing on and on again. Okay. I had some 4 bottles of water, which I prepared. There was a moment when the water would be cut down because of some repairs, and the women, I had to go to work, so I couldn't be at home. So I prepared, some bottled water from the tap, tap water, in case, the women would come later, or, they usually come at 8. They said that the repairs for the waters would start at 10 or 9, and I prepared a lot of water for them because my grandmother could no longer, or if she still pretended not to, just for some attention, because that can also be a case, and a voice within me still tells me that, hey, it's just been that, okay? Her low self-esteem would definitely do that. She kind of had everyone move away from her. Her daughter, her husband, right? My father. My parents divorced many years ago, and there's been this split in my family. Everyone on their own journey, and even the neighbors moved away. I almost wanted to move away, but for some reason I felt that I had to remain there. Someone had to do all these, okay? Because I don't know. I didn't feel forced to, though. I have to admit, I wasn't forced to, but I just came up with this idea for this ritual, and I suddenly felt that I had no will of my own, in a way. I had no, not will, okay? I had no power to say yes or no. I just felt like flow, so I did it, okay? I did this ritual, and I can say I feel magical about that candle being lit, okay? All those candles lighting up, okay? Shining their light, and the Sahasrara one burning for so long, okay? So I kept those bottles of water for 4 hours or something like that close to the laptop as it played that music, because water vibrates to whatever you put close. And after that, when I finished with all the things, I came back. I took those bottles of water, I did a little prayer, and I held those bottles between my legs, right? I sat on my bottom there, on the carpet where my grandmother was found breathless, right, lifeless, and I stood there, right. I felt as if something would creep within me, and a little fear that I would take some unwanted aspects from my grandmother came in, and I said, it doesn't matter. Whatever happens, it will happen. I've been protected by the universe for almost 30 years that I've lived, and if the universe has protected me so greatly till now, I'm sure the universe won't give me up, especially not now. And I've been capable after so long, okay, to stand still and not think of anything for almost a minute or two. I don't know how much it passed, okay? I thought of one or two things, yes, but I could stay actually still, and I actually could hold my spine straight, okay? And I kept my hands on the water, energizing it through Reiki, okay? I did some Reiki symbols, and I put some of that water into a bowl, okay? And with something, I would take some of the water and start, throwing it on the walls, on all her clothings, in the, shelves and everything, in the room, on the walls, on the TV, on the bed, especially on the bed, a lot of that on the bed, because she stood like at least a lot of time she stood in that bed, and she manifested a lot of swear, curses, negativity in there, and I had to cleanse that, okay? That was a cleansing ritual that I did. I threw water in the whole house, on the, like, on the toilet, on the, the bathroom, the living room, even in my room, although I kind of almost ran out of water on my room, but I said okay. But especially in the living room and the, her room, right? The bedroom where she slept, and those two rooms she spent most of her time, and she became somewhat hateful, and I just did this to purge those, okay? In the same time, my father was on a journey, right? And he actually brought me some holy water from a monastery, okay? And it's like the things arranged themselves so, like, they couldn't have fitted better. And I couldn't have expected her to die specifically this day or any other day soon, okay? She refused her last month's pension, and I have to do some work for that, yes. But for some reason, in a divine order, yesterday, the post officer came, and she actually agreed to take the pension. It felt somewhat awkward, and she said something about alone, and being left alone, and it's kind of been like that. And I could feel some sort of disappointment in a way, but I could feel that there was something else, and I think to a certain extent she knew she would die. She initially said she doesn't want that, but the way she moved her head in a no, that's nowadays, in this moment, I understand that it was nothing else than I don't need it anymore. But for some reason then she said yes, and I actually thank her, like, that's actually the last service you could have done me, okay? She has done me a lot of misfavors, a lot of negativity, yes, but I told her there, as I was doing the rituals throughout the day, whatever was negative, I actually forgive her for everything, because I want her road to be, her road after, in the afterlife. I want everything to go as smooth as possible. I don't want to hold any grudges and anything. I just want all these things, right, all these bonds in between me and her to vanish, to be purified by the angels, the guardian angels, the spirit guides and everything, as if these bonds never existed. Because in the end, all is as if it never existed. You have to understand that this body and this existence, at a certain moment, it's like it never existed. History may speak about you, but after a while, when you perish, immediately after that, things have to be as if you never existed. Because memories and the such are nothing else than a bond, okay? You do not need these bonds, because these are attachments. You do not need attachments for the departed, because they can actually have a certain impact. I'm not sure about that, but I just feel that I had to give up everything, even her memory. Okay, I'm not gonna forget her. Like, I still have a painting, a picture of her and my grandfather, a picture she held close to her bed, and in the picture, she's actually smiling, and for some reason I felt she was a bit more radiant in that picture. Maybe me fabulating or whatever. And all these things that I did for her, and tomorrow I'll get that holy water from my father, and it's like, it's been so magical. Okay, I feel so magical now. Today is actually a full moon, if I remember correctly, and I'm not gonna sleep this night, because during a full moon, okay, during a full moon, everything is everything is amplified. Oh yes, exactly here. Okay, full moon, the full corn moon. It is a full moon. And what is this full moon in? Okay, new moon, full moon. Okay, September 17th, and full moon October 1st, October the 2nd. Wait, was it already? Happens in October. September's full moon becomes the corn moon. Okay, so 5:05 p.m. October the 1st. Oh, so if it was October the 1st, I think it's already finished by now. I don't even understand. Okay, so ET, what is ET time zone converter? Okay, let's actually see. I actually got to see 22:22 here, which is an hour of balance. Eastern time, let's see. So I think it's Eastern America time, because it's 7 hours difference. So I don't know if this 5:05 p.m. here it says 5:05 p.m. I don't know what time. Now in here it says September the 2nd at 1 o'clock a.m. so it's gonna be in several hours, right? Eastern time. Okay, so if it is 1 a.m. Eastern time, it should be 8 a.m. in my place. So if it is 8 a.m., I can actually smell candle smell. It's so strange. And while those candles were burning, I could actually feel smell of death and rot, something almost like rot, bad smells. And I think it was actually all her negativity and the attachments and all of these moving away. I actually did a crystal bath, and it all felt so magical. Okay, I'm gonna go soon and light up the candles again. I'm gonna let the laptop sing that song, sing that house cleansing music for the rest of the night. Probably tomorrow, I don't know exactly. And all I can say is that I'm gonna stay up tonight. I'm gonna stay up the whole night, because during full moons and new moons, all your traits, all your abilities are enhanced, and it is preferable that you stay erected, okay, in an erect position, on your bottom probably, if you watch movies or the such, or in any way, shape or form. Okay, you can actually stay awake. That's the point. And think on certain things. If you even don't think of those, it's not a problem, because anyways those are gonna be enhanced. Okay, all your aspects, everything that is representative of you will get enhanced, influenced, okay, bettered, improved. Okay, so all these being said, okay, all these aspects being said, take care of yourself, and during full moon and new moon, think of the best. Think of everything that you want to improve in your life. Think of all your qualities. Okay, don't think of your negatives, because it's gonna amplify those. Okay, it's a natural process. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to do any meditation. In the morning at 20 minutes to 4, right, 3:40, you can actually do some meditation for 10 minutes starting from then. um, it's a place where it's a time where certain alignments in our body happen. This is something very deep, so especially if you have some spiritual, you know, um, openings, okay, or you have been initiated in some spiritual practices, like I have been with three types of Reiki, right? Reiki Usui, Karuna, and what was the third one? Usui, Karuna, and Shambhala. Um, if you have, you know, such initiations, you can actually do this, if not in the morning. And well, all this being said, thank you for listening to my story. I'm gonna keep to everything that I need to do. You are loved and appreciated. Take care, and remember, take care of everyone within you, irrespective of how narcissistic they may be, irrespective of how, you know, harmful they may be. I've realized now that, you know, it's nothing else than, you know, stories and the such. Okay. All this being said, take care. You are loved and appreciated. Ferinjan Board signing out.